Hello everyone. Now we'll deal with section 10 of Transfer of Property Act that says condition restraining alienation. So now let's see the section where property is transferred subject to a condition or limitation absolutely restraining the transferee or any person claiming under the transferee from parting with or disposing of his interest in the property. The condition or the limitation is void, except in the case of a lease where the condition is for the benefit of the lessor or those claiming under him. So, the principle underlining this section 10 is that a right of transfer is incidental to and inseparable from the beneficial ownership of the property. An absolute restraint on that power is repugnant to the nature of the estate and exception to the very essence of the grant. So now let's see the ingredients of the section. No transferable property can be subjected to any condition or limitation. That means transfer will be there, and also if it is attached any condition or limitation, then those condition or limitation will be void if it is to restrain the transferee absolutely. There must be a restraint and it must be absolute. Then only the condition or limitation will be void, but the transfer will be valid. So what is this limitation or condition? Limitation is a conveyance to limit or define the nature of the estate created. The interest of the transferee is absolute if the words of limitation are used. Limitation would also be void if, contrary to section 10, it would be so if the impact thereof is to make the interest non-transferable. So condition may be condition precedent, condition subsequent, or collateral. Here section 10 is concerned with the conditions subsequent under section 31 and 29. The restriction may be either by condition or by limitation. Both are void if on right to transfer and total provision. Condition for the purposes of section 10 means condition subsequent, which has the effect of divesting the interest which has otherwise vested in the transferee. So now let's see what do you mean by restraints. A restraint on alienation would include a condition that dictates to him when to sell it, to sell at how much consideration, or to utilize how the consideration, or to whom to sell, or for what purpose he should sell. So these are the restraints. So now let's see the various kinds of restraints. Firstly, restraint with respect to money. For example, A sells a house to B for rupees 10,000. There is a condition that if B wants to sell it further, he will have to sell it only for rupees 10,000. Here, this restraint is respect to the money. So here the condition is void. Now let's see restraints for a particular time. Suppose the condition in accordance with the transfer is that the transferee would not sell the property for 5 years or 10 years or etc. Then that condition will be void. Now the third type of restraint is restrictions with respect to persons, where the condition is to directing the transferee that when he want to sell the property he must sell only to a specific person named by the transferor or in the to a group of persons, then such condition will be void. Now let's see restrictions with respect to purposes or use of property. So where the transferor does not apparently say anything with respect to the power of the sale of property of the transferee, but provides clearly that the property can be transferred only for a specific purpose. This should also be an absolute restraint on the power of the transferee to transfer his interest according to his option and convenience. Therefore, conditions that the property should be sold for a religious purpose or for any other specific purpose or only would be void as being repugnant to the right of alienation. Another important point, the restraint should be absolute. The condition or limitation on alienation may be either absolute or partial. If it is absolute, it is hit by section 10 and is void. But if it is partial, it is beyond the access of section 10 and may be perfectly valid. So there is a test to distinguish between absolute and partial restraint. That is, what are the remains with the transferee after the condition is enforced. If it takes away the right to transfer substantially, then it is absolute and void. but if it leaves it substantially, then it's partial and valid. So absolute restraint must be there. If it is partial, then the condition will be valid. Let's understand through example. Suppose A devised a tea garden absolutely to B, but with a condition that in case B sells it further, he will have to pay rupees 1000 to A's brother and rupees 500 to A's sister out of the sale proceeds. It was a condition imposing restraint on alienation and was not hit by section 10. As it is partial restraint, therefore it is valid. So there are two exceptions in this section. Firstly, the condition will be valid if it is for the benefit of the lesser or those claiming under him. Another, the property may be transferred to or for the benefit of a woman not being a Hindu, Mohammedan or a Buddhist, so that she shall not have power during her marriage to transfer or charge the same or her beneficial interest therein. The words in the section when the condition is for the benefit of the lesser or those claiming under him seem to be merely explanatory of the reason for the exception. They have been construed to mean that the restriction is invalid unless accompanied with a right of re-entry. A condition that in case of alienation by the lease shall be void is not now sufficient to determine the lease. Unless the right of re-entry is reserved, the breach of such a condition merely gives the lessor a right to an injunction and damages. The second exception was to protect the Parsi, Jew, Christian married women from yielding to the blandishments of the husband. Their husbands will be not giving them the required maintenance, so a condition that they will not be able to transfer such property, it will be quite beneficial for them. They will be having their property and for their benefit and for their maintenance, so it is for the benefit of this married women. So this is all about section 10 of TPA Act. Hope you all like it.